Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
And welcome back, inspired listeners, to Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. I am your co-host today, Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector. And if you're ready for some spiritual prospecting, exploring, discovering, hiking, diving, readings, webinars, workshops, and more here in the Pacific Northwest, or your own personal soul adventure, you can look me up at marklanehart.com or just do an internet search for the Intuitive Prospector. I would love to work with you. So we're back again for another Wisdom Wednesday. You can catch us every Wednesday here on OMTimes Radio at 12 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. And every Wisdom Wednesday, we like to get you on a journey, a spiritual path of being inspired with all of our amazing guests that we've had this last year and a half. It's just been quite a ride, quite the soul adventure to talk and learn from many people around the world in many different modalities, authors, professional athletes, numerologists. Last show was a lot of fun that went by so quick last week with our famous numerologist, Glennis McCants. That was a lot of fun. So this week, we're not going to change anything up. We're going to continue plugging right ahead and have fun with this show. It's going to be a very high impact show. Get it? High? Because we're talking today about the 15 ways cannabis can improve your health. And so we're going to be bringing our special guest on here in just a little bit. But before we do that, I got to get to my co-host. I got the best co-host in the world, Kim Thalken, down in Encino, California, and founder of Love First. Hello, my dear. How are you?
Oh, Mark, if it's one thing you know how to do, it's make me smile. I'm doing great. I am doing great. It's so good to be back with our community, back on air again. And I always look forward to Wednesdays. The weeks go by so fast, don't they? But it's great to be here, and thank you for joining in with us today on Wisdom Wednesday. As Mark said, I'm Kim Thalken, founder of Love First in Encino, California. My work is all about strengthening your spiritual connection and your connection to your own soul through spiritual counseling, readings, healings, and hypnotherapy. If you'd like to learn more, you can reach out and find me at lovefirst.info. I'd love to hear from you. And today, you can interact with us all over social media if you'd like to do that. You can find us on Facebook under Inspired Living Radio. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram under Inspired for Us. Google Plus under Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. You can send through your questions to us there. We already got some questions through our Facebook page for today's show, and you can learn more about our upcoming guests and what Mark and I are up to. It's a real nice community. We love to get to know our listeners. So do be sure to interact with us on all of these different platforms. If you missed our live show, you can always listen to any of our podcasts at any time on demand on OMTimes Radio, archives, Podbean, SoundCloud, marklanehart.com, YouTube, and iTunes. And Mark, it is the first Wednesday of October. My goodness. So
it is.
You know what
Fall
that means. Fall is here, along with a new inspired affirmation for the month of October. And that affirmation is, all that I need is within me. And that's what it's all about, is is recognizing that we have all that we need, all the wisdom that we need within ourselves. And that is a lot of the work that Mark and I do today, is helping our clients remember that. Mark, now our listeners can also call in today and every Wednesday. So if you've got questions, call in with your questions live at 202-570-7057. Back to you.
All right. Yes. Full live call-in lines now. The show is plugging right along. We're growing on all of our social media pages. I did just post out a live Facebook video feed talking about today's show. So let's get into the background of our special guest and talk about how she got here and how she wrote a book that is now #1 in its genre on Amazon. So congratulations to her on that. And you're going to have an opportunity to get your own copy of this book, and we'll have that information here for you in just a short. But yeah, if you want to post a question on the Facebook page, we already have one question. We'll bring it live to air for Kim, myself, or our special guest, or you can call into the live call-in line. We'd love to have you. Okay, so Kat Bohnsack has nearly a decade of research and hard work into the cannabis industry. If you don't know what cannabis is, that's marijuana. I'm here in Washington State, and it is actually legal now. It's just as legal as alcohol, and many states across the United States are actually moving towards legalizing marijuana, cannabis. She is a proud member of Seattle Hempfest, Seattle chapter of Women's Cannabis Women's Alliance, and the highly acclaimed national group Women of Weed that was featured in National Geographic, Time, and Newsweek. That is awesome. She is a disabled Air Force veteran and a spiritual teacher who has committed herself to educating thousands around the world about the health benefits of hemp and cannabis. She has spoken to corporations. She's taught classes. She spoke at public hearings, town hall meetings. She stood with other veterans to speak to government officials about the need and importance of cannabis in veteran communities. She's a published best-selling author and was recently televised. Talking to her before the show, she didn't know she was being live streamed, but it's probably good that she didn't. But she was televised on a live stream worldwide from the world's largest cannabis reform event, Seattle Hempfest. She's very passionate about this movement, and she's created her own corporation to further educate national education about these incredible herbal plants. Kat's company, Mary Jane Parties, I love the name of that, Mary Jane, takes cannabis education into the privacy of your own home. Certified Mary Jane coaches come to your home parties and talk about the history of hemp, cannabis, topics, CBDs, and answer any questions the guests may have. This company is poised to be one of the largest personal education corporations worldwide for cannabis and hemp as health aids. Kat has also become the first person to have a medical marijuana book become a bestseller. Congratulations, Kat. Her book, Your Itty Bitty Marijuana Manual, 15 Ways to Use Cannabis for Your Health, hit #1 on Amazon just a few months ago, and it is filled with incredible research and knowledge about cannabis used throughout the centuries for many different reasons. Kat, welcome to Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim.
Thank you, Mark and Kim. Super excited
Welcome.
to be here.
Well, thank
you. And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're a proud family of veterans, so yeah.
Well, from one veteran to another, I thank you for your service. One disabled veteran to another. So a little bit about Kat and myself and our journey. I met Kat 3 years ago. And we actually met through, I believe it was Meetup, and on a very same journey of spirituality and our spiritual path and, psychic sciences and mediumship. And I remember speaking to Kat at a Starbucks. And now look at you. You're a #1 best-selling author, and you've been on Newsweek and Time and got streamed worldwide. That's just amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You've come a long way.
It has been. It's been a fun journey. It's been a lot of fun. Met some incredible people along the way, and I've just learned so much. And I get excited to share that knowledge. So,
and that's the beauty of it when you get into the passion and what you love. And I love the Mary Jane parties. I think if we can educate, because I think a big part of that, the labels or the judgment that people have about marijuana, a big part of it is education. I've seen firsthand what marijuana can do for one of my family members. I was telling you before the live show that my father-in-law who had multiple sclerosis, very bad. The only thing that helped him out of all the modalities and treatments that he did was marijuana. He had seasickness symptoms, and it was medical marijuana that gave him balance and made him feel at least somewhat stable. So I've seen it firsthand on what medical marijuana can do for people, and the more we move along and move forward and get educated, you're seeing all sorts of different interesting stories about how to use hemp in different ways, from, instead of cutting down trees, maybe using hemp to make product. Instead of plastics, using hemp, to replace plastics, and possibly a cure to some of the cancers that are out there, marijuana. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the industry and the education and what you're doing. And we'll be going to break here in about 2 minutes. But why did you get started in the industry, Kat?
I got started about 10 years ago, and my journey was a little bit similar to what you were saying with your family member, and I was looking for something holistic to take. I have a disability from the Air Force, and it's a stress-related disability, so I was getting sick a lot, and all of the different tablets and all the different tests that they had done to determine what was wrong with me just kept getting me worse. It was getting more and more stressed. And so it was making my condition worse. And finally, one day, somebody suggested to try smoking pot. And I tried it back when I was younger and, dabbled in it. I'm from California, so, we always had fun out there at parties. But I was never really a drinker, pot smoker, or anything like that. And I tried it, and it was nearly instantaneous. I mean, it was, the stress reduction, the anti-anxiety, the stomach condition, the inflammation, everything just subsided within minutes. And I thought there's something to this. And then I kind of got into the business aspect of it and really started doing some research into why isn't this more mainstream for holistic health. And that's kind of how it all started, really.
Yeah, I think it's battling with the big pharmaceutical companies, right? Because everybody wants to. Yes. I remember when I got injured, the first thing that they wanted to subscribe to me was, narcotics, and I don't do well on narcotics. So that's the sound of our first break coming up. We're going to be back here in 2 minutes with our very special guest, Kat Bohnsack, talking about the 15 ways cannabis can help your health. So stick around. We'll be back in 2 minutes here on Inspired Living Radio.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news. Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info for more information.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAINN.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAINN and this station.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim and our special guest today, Kat Bohnsack, as we talk about the importance of marijuana, hemp, and cannabis, how it can be used to help us work through difficulties in our lives. So before we went to break, Kat, you were talking about your kind of first experience with marijuana in helping you with some of the challenges that you were having. And now, how did you then ultimately get into the industry then and decide that you want to really be an advocate for hemp and cannabis?
When I began the journey about 10 years ago, I was primarily looking for just a medical supply, and I basically found that we had medical approved by the voters of Washington State in 1998. And so there were some co-ops that were available. So I, kind of delved a little further into that and found out that the business structures weren't being done properly. And once I kind of researched and found out what the laws were, I had found a business that I was super compatible with. And basically they hired me on the spot as their manager to basically help restructure their business and kind of get those things going. So I started on a business aspect and helping them to make sure that, they were doing the things that they need to do to comply with the state laws, and realized that a lot of people just didn't know what they were doing. They were just trying to help one another and not be black market. They were trying to follow the letter of the law. And with that, there's a lot of people that were just happy little hippies that were growing and loving on one another and sharing weed, and that's what the co-op model was for. However, there was a business aspect to it that they weren't familiar with, and so I started getting hired out as a business consultant at an hourly rate, basically, for these companies 8 to 10 years ago, and help them structure their businesses. And so that's kind of how I actually got involved in the industry of cannabis.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so first you were able to recognize the benefits for yourself, and then now you're able to go out there and make sure that people have access and are doing things the right way. So everybody's in compliance with what they need to be complying with, I guess. Which is great, because it's not legal everywhere right now. So I guess there's stuff that people need to know, even about I would imagine buying products maybe across state lines and stuff. I'm not sure how that works. We can get into that, but I do want to let our viewers know, our listeners, that they can call in. And Kat is just so generous today in giving away some of her books to the people that are listeners that are going to call in. We're going to be giving away 5 to 10 books. If you are interested, have a question for her on this, please make sure that you call in to the show live at 202-570-7057. And you can have a copy of her book, Your Itty Bitty Marijuana Manual, which goes through the 15 ways to use cannabis for your health. So if you're experiencing health issues, or you just want to learn more about this topic, make sure that you call us now, and you will be one of the lucky ones to receive one of her top-selling books. So Kat, because this is partly educational for me too. I don't know a whole lot about this, although I was up recently visiting a friend in Oregon where it's legalized, and she was telling me about the health benefits that she's been able to experience through some like topical products, ointments that helped her. And that was kind of my first exposure to the healing aspects of it through this friend of mine. But help me understand, or even for the listeners too, what's the difference between cannabis and hemp? Or is there a difference?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually get that at every single one of the Mary Jane parties we do. Somebody asks that question. So the main genus of the plant, the scientific name is Cannabis sativa, and it's broken into two categories. One is the hemp plant, and the other one is the marijuana plant. It's kind of similar. What I compare it to is like flowers. If you've got a lily and a rose, they're both flowers. However, they look different, they grow different, they smell different, they have different applications. Hemp and marijuana are nearly identical to that. Hemp grows like cornstalk, big, tall. It's used for rope, clothing, biofuels, food. It can be made into topicals and all types of healing agents. But there's trace amounts of THC. I would say there's pretty much no THC in hemp. And then with the marijuana plant, that's where the psychoactive effects are. That has the THC in it, where it's going to actually have the psychoactive effects on your brain, and you'll feel different types of remedy release. And truthfully, they're really for two different applications. A lot of people smoke marijuana for lots of different reasons, anywhere from fun and relaxation and enjoyment to anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, healing. We have a lot of veterans that have PTSD that actually use marijuana for their PTSD because it's about the only thing that they can take, myself included. My body for some reason just has an adverse effect to pharmaceuticals. So that was kind of why I was on this holistic journey, to find something where I can be out of pain and out of discomfort and actually eat food. And this is kind of what came about. And with the hemp, there's so many applications. And like Mark said, with the trees, it grows. You can do hemp fields in 2 months, where trees take decades to grow to full maturity. So.
Interesting. Okay. So the THC, that's the element in it that creates the high, right? Is that
correct?
The right way to think about it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the THC. Yep, the THC was what creates the high. There's also something called THCA, which is a form of THC acid. Now, that is an anti-inflammatory. It's a very strong anti-inflammatory. And like with the healing topicals that you were talking about, we actually carry 3 with the Mary Jane parties: Cannabis Basics, Kush creams, and then Topical Whey. And 2 of the 3 of those companies are actually veteran-owned. We're very proud of that. A lot of our vendors for Mary Jane parties are vendor-owned. But the lotions use the THC acid as a strong component for pain relief and anti-inflammatory. As soon as you heat it, though, the THC acid converts into THC. So, for example, you can have a marijuana plant and have the THCA in it, and if you were to like cold press it, because you can actually juice marijuana, you won't get high. You'll get some incredible healing effects, and you can drink it, and it will not make you high. But the minute you heat it by putting a flame to it, that's going to change it from the THC acid into THC, and that's actually going to get you high. So, yeah, juicing is a big thing right now with marijuana juicing leaves.
Well, that is.
I was just gonna.
Now, so it's like instead of, you can throw the kale and spinach in there, and then also some of the marijuana in there.
Heck yeah, throw that marijuana in there. Throw it in your smoothie in the morning.
Oh, I love that. I was just going to say, I just saw that there was a beekeeper that was the first beekeeper to actually have the bees pollinate cannabis. Yep. And he's actually making honey, and it's the first time it's ever been done. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well. Yeah, we have some friends down south. My girlfriend Tanya does that. They have a company where they actually do the pollinated THC honey. So I have a question. We're talking a little bit about the post-traumatic stress disorder with the veterans, and well, just anybody. You might have the anxiety. I know that you listed on your website it helps with depression, things like that. But then that means that you actually have to go into an altered state of consciousness. I mean, through the substance, like through THC, you actually get. The only way to kind of be relieved of those symptoms are to get high. Is that different kinds of ways you can do the CBD from the hemp plant
and it is a natural anti-anxiety. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. It is a pain reliever. I have a woman right now with stage 4 cancer, ovarian cancer, and she doesn't want to get high. And so all the products she's getting with Mary Jane parties, and just to clarify, with Mary Jane parties, we don't sell anything active. We sell the topicals, we sell the CBD products, we sell hemp products and cannabis culture items like bongs, pipes, rolling trays, things like that. But we don't sell any marijuana because the laws have changed here in Washington State. So with my cancer gal, she sticks strictly with the CBD products, the hemp products, and she does not get high from the products.
Okay, very interesting. So that is our, oh my goodness, here we go again. See how fast time's going? That's our second break. And I feel like we're just getting started, so stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes as we continue our conversation of the benefits of cannabis.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Have you wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Mark's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Mark's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marklanehart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. I am Kim Belkin, founder of Love First. If you're looking for support in the way of readings, healings, or hypnotherapy, please reach me at lovefirst.info. I would love to hear from you. And today we are talking to our guest today, Kat Bohnsack, about the benefits of cannabis. So, Kat, before we went to break, you were talking about, based on my questions, this is a big learning curve for me here, that there are ways that folks can benefit from the healing aspects of hemp, of cannabis, with things like post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, and without receiving a high. So there is a choice there in the way in which you would like to relieve yourself of some of these symptoms.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are actually currently I'm just hooked up with a new botanical company that I'm really excited about. That we're going to be adding even more CBD products to Mary Jane parties. I mean, one is it's a CBD pocket spray. It is apple flavored, and you keep it in your pocket just like you would a mouth spray. And you just spray a couple of pumps in your mouth, and you get this nice euphoric feeling. You don't get a high. And the one thing I would say over and over about CBD products, in our natural state of homeostasis, like when we are where we're supposed to be in our lives, we're supposed to be pain-free and feeling good. We should have these euphoric feelings. And as spiritual people, you know this. Like, you're connected with that. And as spiritual, in our spiritual practice, we experience that a lot. CBDs actually help you to get to that spiritual euphoric level without the high. I've had more people call me and say, "Are you sure there isn't THC in here?" Because they get this incredible happy and euphoric feeling, and they're closer to that normal homeostasis and they've ever been. They're out of pain, they're happy, they're feeling that joy, and it's because their receptors are being filled with the proper molecules. And it's just like, when you eat healthy, when you work out and you're taking care of yourself, you feel better. It's exactly the same. This is just something to add to your toolkit to help you to feel good.
Now, in your opinion, we've got some questions coming in too. In your opinion, are there any downsides to using cannabis?
Honestly, what I would say is the only downside is any time you're ingesting smoke into your lungs in general, it's not a good thing. No matter what form it's in. So I think that the worst, probably one of the worst problems with smoking cannabis is the smoke going in your lungs, because cannabis actually burns hotter than tobacco. So when you have a risk of possibly burning, like your esophagus, or, having that heated smoke going into your throat and into your lungs. Now, that's why a lot of people, though, use bongs, use vaporizers, and use edibles, and have cannabis in other forms. So to prevent that, it kind of mitigates that problem. So if you're vaping, you want to make sure that you're using a good vape machine. There's lots of them out there, from pocket vapes all the way to desktop ones. And edibles are great too. You can use the cannabis and you can actually decarbolize it, which is heating it and releasing more of the THC and the healing agents of that. And you can make it into a butter, you can make it into an oil, you can make it into all these things and make edibles. And people eat the edibles. Edibles do have a much stronger and longer effect than smoking cannabis in any way. But you can actually you can eat less if you want to. So if you just want a little bit of a pain relief, like say you have a back pain, that's a normal back pain, and you just want to have you can take a little THC pill or have a little half of a cookie or something like that. And it's basically the same as taking a pharmaceutical. It's like taking a half a pill of something, although it's organic and it's holistic and it's something that's going to help your body without having the pharmaceutical side effects. So that's one of the reasons I love this industry, is you don't have the side effects. It always makes me laugh whenever I hear those pharmaceutical commercials. It's like, oh, take this drug, but the side effects could include brain bleeding and, death and your heart stopping. And it's like, oh my gosh.
All the gloom and doom of it.
By the time you're done with all of the side effects, it's like, my goodness, I don't know what the trade-off is here. Do I want the side effects or what I started with? We have a question that's come in from Janet up in Northern California, and she asked if we would ask you about eye drops for people suffering from glaucoma. She says she's got a friend who's been battling the disease and has had an embarrassing twitch in one eye. He heard about Canisol, which was being produced for the treatment of glaucoma, but she said it's hard for him to find. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Do you know?
Yeah, there are eye drops. I've heard of like just literally all different kinds. People make tinctures, and there's something that they even make for pets that you can use, an eye drop for pets and things like that. But yeah, Canisol is one of the primary eye drops, but there are others. There's some called dew drops. There's fresh cannabis drops. So you can find it. Again, it's going to be limited to what your state laws are, because California right now has medical. So she should easily be able to get the drops in California. And really and truly, the reason I wrote the book was to hopefully trigger people into doing their own research. I mean, we should be taking care of ourselves. I believe medical practice is called that for that reason. It's medical practice. They're literally practicing on us because every single person's body chemistry is different. I mean, we have a general makeup that's the same, but everybody's chemistry is different. Like, I can't handle pharmaceuticals, whereas maybe my neighbor can. You know, and so with that, everybody should be doing their own research and self-care to make sure that they're getting the best health possible for themselves, because nobody else can do that for them. So I would recommend is I was just going to say, what I would recommend is going to one of the medical dispensaries and having her just literally walk in and ask them and get educated, because they love to talk to people. They love to educate people. And in California, they still have the medical laws, which we no longer have. So and Oregon has that as well.
And would you actually talk to a bud tender?
Yep, a bud tender. Exactly right. That's what they call them, is bud tenders. So
Kat, like, for example, my dad has been suffering from bad back problems and sciatica that's been really painful. What are the ways that he might be able to, or anybody else that's got specific health issues or pain and discomfort, might be able to research the ways in which it might be able to support whatever symptom it is they have, and then how to use it? Like you were saying, you might just want to eat half a cookie, like whomever is not interested in smoking it. What's that?
Right. Oh, I was going to say, how would you know how much to eat?
Yeah, or how to even make it, or what to do with it, or I don't know. How does he educate himself on that?
Well, that was one of the reasons I created Mary Jane Parties. I can give you the website. We're on Facebook, and we also have a website. People can certainly write us, and they can ask questions. They can ask questions on the Facebook page. We have a spokesperson. Her name is Mary Jane, and that's spelled with a Y, Jayne. So follow Mary Jane. She's our spokesperson and is going to be doing educational talks, podcasts, and actually answering questions exactly like this to help people educate themselves. If they're not comfortable reaching out online or over the phone, they can certainly walk into a medical dispensary if their state has medical and talk to them, or just start researching online. I mean, you can pretty much Google anything nowadays and just start picking through the information. I know that's a lot. It's very time-consuming to do that, because that's what I've done all this last decade. So it is very time-consuming, but there's a lot of information and research out there. There's a lot of good people. And like somebody for like your dad, my first question to him would be, okay, do you want to get high? Do you want the psychoactive effects? Do you want to try to stay away from the psychoactive effects? Like, what's your end result goal? And I would probably start him on, like, say, the topicals and possibly a CBD product if he didn't want the high. But for back pain, I've found that eating very, very small amounts of edibles, and a small amount is 50 milligrams or less of THC in the product. So if you're getting an edible at a recreational store or a medical store, they should have the amount of THC in the product. If you're a new user and you're just new to edibles, you definitely don't want to go over 25 to 50 milligrams. You do not, because that's a lot. An experienced user can go 50 to 100, but if you eat, like someone gives you a cookie and they don't tell you what milligrams are in it, don't eat the whole cookie, because you could be couch locked for 8 to 10 hours.
Oh my goodness.
I'm laughing because I've actually had a couple friends do that. I won't mention any names on the air, but they were actually pretty much still for a few hours and couldn't move because they ate too much of the edible.
Right, and that happens. I get calls all the time that people that over-medicate, and they over-medicate, I would say 99% of the time with edibles. I mean, there's not really any other way to over-medicate, because if you're smoking, you'll just get to the point where you'll just pass out. You'll pass out for an hour, and then you'll be fine. And with the edibles, though, it stays in your system. So it has to actually get out of your system, and it usually takes about a good at least 6 to 8 hours. So just a cautionary tale for your listeners. If you do happen to over-medicate with an edible, it's okay. You don't. If your heart's racing and you're sweating and maybe you feel like it's even laced with something, that means you over-medicated. The best thing to do is just take a nap and get some food and just allow it, just kind of relax with it and allow it to do its job, and just sleep it off. I mean, that's really the best thing to do. I've had people just in a panic call me because they are just freaking out. I got to go to the hospital.
And stay with us. That's our last break. We'll be back in 2 minutes talking about the benefits of cannabis.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
There is no death, only a change of worlds. Chief Seattle. Deborah Livingston is an award-winning intuitive psychic medium whose international services include mediumship, spiritual assessment, animal communication, and spiritual mentoring. She is a published author and a trained shaman. Deborah provides evidential messages from spirit and departed loved ones. Learn more at deblivemedium.com. That's DEBLIV medium.com.
What's up? This is Brad and Mike from Lincoln Park for LifeBeat, the music industry fights AIDS.
Listen up, times are tough and you get a lot of things thrown your way. If you're being pressured to have sex and you're not ready, then say no. If you're having sex, be smart and use protection. Respect yourself and protect yourself.
For more information, call the National AIDS Hotline at 1-800-342-AIDS or log on to www.lifebeat.org.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim. Our special guest, Kat Bohnsack, talking about her itty-bitty little marijuana manual in 15 ways cannabis, you can use cannabis for your health. So, Kat, real quick, we were talking about eating too much of the edibles because, like I said, I've seen and experienced people eat too much, put too much butter on their toast, eat the cookie in its entirety, and then be able to just kind of be just stuck where they're at and not be able to move.
Oh, they're so good. The cookies are so good, though.
They are. I was curious just to share your knowledge of this industry. Has anyone ever officially overdosed on the use of marijuana that you know?
Yeah, there's no recorded overdose for marijuana ever in the history. I mean, you can't overdose on it because overdosing on pot is basically just passing out. So you can't get like alcohol where you can get alcohol poisoning because you drank too much alcohol. You can't get that with pot. There's no overindulgence of THC. If you get too much THC in your system, you're just going to be so tired. The sativas, it kind of breaks up into two, and this is very rudimentary. This is very basic, but it's kind of broken up into two categories where there's a sativa and an indica. The sativas are more like they'll give you the high, they'll give you the buzz, they'll give you the giddy, the laugh, and that type of thing. Where the indicas are more like a relaxation, couch lock, sleeping, that type of thing. So with the sativas, if you take too much of a sativa or a percentage of sativas too high, you can get paranoia. And that's where a lot of people, I smoked and I got paranoid. Well, they probably smoked a sativa. With the indicas, again, if you smoke too much, it's going to relax you to the point where you're just going to get high and fall asleep. So there's really not a lot of I would say just be cautious where you're smoking and where you're falling asleep.
There you go. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that to the air because I think that's important that, folks that are interested or aware of cannabis, the use of marijuana, that I don't know of any recorded overdose compared to alcohol. The drinking and driving is a real problem. People wanting to get in their cars. I don't know a lot of people that actually want to get in their car and go driving when they are smoking, marijuana. So It's mostly just relaxing and again, the medical benefits of it. I did want to thank our inspired listener for that question that they did post on Facebook. Again, we're in the last part of the show, but if you want to call in real quick, we are taking calls to get a free copy of Kat's book. The number is 202-570-7057. That's OMTimes Radio. If you want to call in the next 10 minutes here, you can get a free copy. But thank you for the one question on our Facebook page. I did send you a message to get a hold of Kat, and she will send you a free copy of her book. So, Kat, let's talk about where people can find your book one more time, your website. Tell us about Amazon, and then let's talk about the industry itself and how people can get educated and get involved with the movement that cannabis is.
I love that. Well, you can definitely get my book on Amazon. You can get it hardcover ordered, or you can get a Kindle version on Amazon.com. You can just type up itty bitty marijuana, and it'll just pop right up. Or you can even just type in marijuana manual, and it'll pop up as well with my name. You can certainly go to our Facebook page or our website, and that is Mary Jane Parties, and it's Mary. Mary Jane, Jayne, and then Parties, Parties. So MaryJaneParties.com. You can actually write in and just say you'd like to get the book, and we'll charge it and send it right out to you. You can order it on the Facebook page as well. Just type in Mary Jane Parties or follow Mary Jane and talk to the spokesperson or our tech, and we can get one of those sent out to you. And I carry, in Washington State, I carry copies of my own. So if you do want a personal copy from me, I'm also on Facebook, Kat Bohnsack, and that's Bohnsack, Kat with a K. And you can let me know, and I'll send you out a signed copy. I'll send a personalized copy out to you. So.
Perfect, Kat with a K. So let's, as we get into the last part of the show here, I think this is fascinating. I'm learning just sitting back listening just because I'm learning, and that's what I love doing about radio is you learn all sorts of new things. I would love to have you come back and, even be a spokesman and help educate people for Inspired Living Radio on the benefits, because this whole hour that we've been talking, all we're talking about is the benefits of cannabis and marijuana and all the different, whether you smoke it or eat it or, if you get into the hemp products. I remember in college doing a study on hemp cereal and the benefits of eating hemp. So, and working in the Coast Guard, we worked with rope all the time. The products that can come from hemp. I mean, this whole hour we've just been talking about the positivity, the benefits of cannabis. I did notice that, you and Mary Jane, your spokesperson, are you guys sisters? There's some similarities there, I noticed.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely some similarities.
Yeah, okay. So what do you think why do you think there's such negative aspects of working in this industry? Because everything we've talked about would show that there's really not a lot of negatives about this industry. So why is there so many judgments and labels on this industry?
Really, it kind of stems back to our fear and our government wanting control of certain industries, and definitely not to, knock the government. I mean, everybody's got their own personal opinions.
Sure,
I'm a veteran,
sure.
so, I'm definitely a patriot. And at the same time, they do feed us what they want us to know in terms of our consumerism and what they want us to purchase and buy. And nearly a century ago, there in the 30s, there was a drug czar that basically was trying to cut back on marijuana coming across the Mexican border.
Mm-hmm.
It was being used in jazz clubs. It was actually taking the place of alcohol because of the alcohol prohibition. And when alcohol started coming back into mainstream, they found that there was a lot of marijuana being used in these nightclubs as well. And back in the day, this is now, I'd love to come back because we can get into this whole pharmaceutical industry. It was actually sold in pharmacies. Decades ago, marijuana was sold in pharmacies across the United States.
Okay.
And so that's a whole other subject. But basically, the government criminalized it. They made a lot of money prohibiting marijuana and hemp. And hemp got roped into the marijuana industry under Schedule 1, because technically hemp is a Schedule 1 drug.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing drug about the hemp product. You cannot get high off of it. It's a commodity like cotton or silk or something like that. It's literally, like you were saying, it was used for Navy ropes for forever. The seeds have incredible omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, which are really, really good for you, especially if you don't eat fish or something like that. You got to get those omegas in your body and in your brain. Yeah. So hemp is an amazing product, but it was lumped in with marijuana because of a couple different reasons. The timber industry. William Randolph Hearst was a real big supporter, and he owned the newspapers, and the family still owns the newspapers. And he put out a smear campaign to completely destroy hemp because it's faster to grow, it's bug resistant, drought resistant, it's an incredible product, and then you can grow a hemp crop within 2 to 3 months, where trees, like I was saying earlier, take decades. And so it's an incredibly renewable biosource that of everything, like I said, clothing, fuel, food, ropes, shirts. I mean, everything that's being made from hemp is incredible, and it's really sad that the mainstream doesn't know more. But they want to listen to what the government's telling us. They want to believe that they have our best interests at heart. And again, that's where I would say is personal education comes into play. You got to do your own research and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think with like I said, I remember studying hemp and doing a paper in college on this, and with the exposure of the internet, radio shows like this that people can access, it's helping with that education. So what would you say to people who are against marijuana or feel it is bad in some way, and why use cannabis?
Well, the first thing I would say is when you're that strongly opposed to anything, hopefully they've done their research. So I don't like to judge people. If they have something against marijuana, maybe they had a brother that smoked and got in a car accident and died. I don't know. So I don't want to judge, but I'll use my dad who raised me as an example. He was a Marine, went to Vietnam. He saw people smoke in Vietnam and then literally wander off into the jungle and disappear, or wander off and be captured or something like that. So he always had a negative connotation against marijuana. Sure. And when I got very deep into it, even though my family really was supportive, he was always kind of like, don't talk to me about it. Well, since that time, he's actually moved here, and he's seen what we do in the education. He's done a complete 180. He's like, wow, I never realized the health benefits and all this other. I mean, it's been incredible, especially as one of my family members. So to be able to, and it wasn't convincing. It was literally just living my lifestyle in my way, and him realizing, wow, we're not just lazy stoner potheads. We're not just sitting around. I'm building a multi-million-dollar corporation and doing live streams around the world. And yes, I smoke pot. So, it's you can be a successful stoner.
Well, and I think the public is starting to see the awareness around it with the states legalizing it and the tax benefits. Colorado alone, state of Colorado with the tax benefits. I'm not sure what Washington State is, but some of the money that's been generated to help the homeless from the marijuana industry, the taxes that are being incorporated is just fantastic to hear. And I have to say, Kat, we're going to get to the closing of the show, but I'd love to have you back. This show has really put me on a high, no pun intended. But I would love to talk more on another show that we could get into the history of it, more education, and maybe we get to meet Mary Jane and bring her live on the air. But one more time for our inspired listeners, again, thanks for listening for so much. We do love our inspired living community around the world. And we appreciate you being here, and hopefully you've gotten a few gold nuggets from Kat and her wisdom of this industry and the cannabis, marijuana, and hemp industries. So real quick, before we end the show, Kat, one more time, how can people look you up?
Definitely go to Facebook to Kat Bohnsack, Mary Jane Parties, or follow Mary Jane, or go to our webpage, maryjaneparties.com, and that's Jane with a Y. Also get involved in Hempfest and activism, and speak out. Speak out and stand up for what's right.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being on, Kat. Next week's guest, we're welcoming back our angel expert, Shamala Allah. It's going to be a good show. So until next week, be kind, be caring,
Thank you, Kat.
be compassionate.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks, Kim and Mark.
Thank you. Namaste. Bye, everybody.